Hi, I'm Pete Williams. My current role is called the Chief Edge Officer at Deloitte Centre for the Edge. Originally founder of Deloitte Digital, which is a global web and mobile development business, and involved in a lot of activism, movements, and things like I'm on the board of the Deloitte Foundation, I'm on the board of Circus Oz, I'm an adjunct professor at RMIT. Yeah, just sort of long-term old web pioneer, sort of web junkie, social media type. Yeah, it's really interesting having been at the Global Shifts conference for the last couple of days. It's sort of, I feel that there's an underlying current of a victim mentality here. It's all about what they don't have and what somebody else should do. Or I'm trying to do it, so why doesn't the world connect with me and make it happen? Really, the big shift that we've seen is the world over the particularly last 20 years, has become hyper-connected. The ability to tap in and connect to people, to make people aware of what's going on, to actually give them an opportunity to do stuff with you, is something that we see happening in the web world every day. Back from the open source communities, the hacker mentality and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of look with a bit of an air of wonderment at a lot of the people in social enterprises who are still locked into an industrial age framework of, I will do a business case, I will lobby government, and somehow magically the world should happen for me. And I feel that there's a real thing that people need to unlearn. We're in a different world now. We've never been as connected as we have. And that, it's interesting things like when I look at mobile innovation, I look in Africa. It's the most pure mobile market in the world. They don't have the industrial age frameworks of legacy telco networks. So you see massive innovation happening on a scale. Things like, if you look at the internet world, the price of startups has collapsed. If you go back, say around the dot-com boom time, you used to have to provision infrastructure, buy software, employ a lot of people. These days you can use Amazon Cloud, software's freely available. You want to raise funding, jump on Kickstarter or Start Some Good or Possible. Your ability to tap in, find passionate people is the world we're in. And I just don't think that a lot of social enterprises have really tied into that. So I'm seeing some good stuff happening, but I'm also seeing, the corporate world, even a lot of the NGOs are quite surprising. So, again, they come from an industrial age architecture, and I was on the panel this morning, they were talking about risk aversion and all that stuff. So, well, doing stuff that doesn't cost much and has a massive impact isn't highly risky. But again, I often talk about the notion of organisations designed like bricks. They repel any ability for people to get involved. It's like, why don't you design them like sponges? Why don't you make them very porous? Why don't you create opportunities for people to leverage you as a platform, as opposed to trying to get all their money to lobby governments? Well, why don't you put potential projects out there and say, well, what do you want to back? This sort of notion of, well, we must, have a business case. Well, no, you actually have to have momentum. People don't back spreadsheets, they back momentum, they back passion. And that's a lot of the stuff that I do in my Centre for the Edge role, is looking at the notion of sort of organisational flexibility, looking at how do you tap into passion, and also how do you get things to flow, whether that be people, resources, how do you actually just get into this sort of global flow that we've got? So, very different world we live in, and the opportunities are there for people to get involved, but I think it's the issue that they face is they have to unlearn. These things provide a learning environment, but if you don't unlearn your mental model, you won't be able to tap into it. So the notion is, how do I sort of say, I can't do this because I don't have. It's like, I can do this with what I've got. That maybe I can't change the world in the next 10 minutes, but what can I do to give myself some momentum? So that's the sort of way I look at the world. The fundamental thing is, in a social enterprise, it's not what I'm going to do for you. It's like, what do you need? I was involved in rebuilding one of the towns after Black Saturday. I didn't go in there and say, this is what I'm going to do to you. It's like, guys, what do we need? What have we got? We've got a destroyed town. It's scorched earth. But I've got a mate who works at Bunnings. I'm a top web guy. I worked in logistics. I'm a structural engineer. We built a temporary village in 3 weeks. We could house, sort of 150 people on a cricket ground. Oh, we had no water. Oh, Billy, you're a member of the plumbers union, aren't you? Yeah. Can you boys come in and sort that out? Are you in the ETU? Yeah, electrical trade union. Yeah, cool. We'll come and put 3-phase power there. I've got a mate at Telstra. Hey, can you put a portable mobile tower there? Yeah, no worries. We didn't have any money, but we're now looked upon as, wow, you guys are the world record community in terms of recovery after a disaster. From nothing, from scorched earth. And it's that sort of notion of from oftentimes abject destruction becomes the most opportunity to reconstruct in a really creative way. So I think that the world of social enterprise, you will not succeed if all you come in and do is say, this is what we're going to do to you. It's how can we get people to be empowered? I mean, our philosophy in the town I worked in Flowerdale was a sustainable, empowered community. Sustainable meant we wanted to sustain the ethos of the place. We wanted to sustain the community impact that had, the community galvanised and all stepped up and wanted to own its own destiny. So it wasn't me telling them this is what you should want. It's like, what do you want and how can I get it for you? So I think that's the key part of social enterprises. It's, if you're going to have a lasting impact, is am I actually empowering people? And empowering people doesn't mean giving them stuff. It means listening, understanding. It means educating. It means saying, well, you really want to do this, are you going to run it? Because I ain't going to be here forever. This is yours to run with. And that, I think that's the evolution. The ability to sort of raise funds through, crowdfunding platforms and all that stuff, you could never do that before. It ain't that hard now. But how are you actually making people state critical? I mean, there's gazillions of causes in the world and everyone's particular cause is the most important cause in the world to them. But why should I care? What should I do? And again, starting to think beyond this, what have I got that I can wrap my arms around too, is to, well, what ecosystems can I become a part of? What can I tap into? There's an ecosystem of funders through crowdfunding. Great. Well, how do I tap into them? Or, I'm on the board of the Deloitte Foundation. What we're looking at is not sort of people coming up to us and say, here, give us 50 grand or 100 grand. It's like, well, actually, what do you really need? Because we could give you money, but actually we've got 6,000 unbelievably passionate, skilled people who work for us who want to help you. What do you really need? Do you need help with finance? Do you need help with innovating? Do you need help with technology? Do you need help with leveraging mobile? These sort of things are the real value of the benefit we get, not just the money. So again, when we run we're about to launch a crowdsourcing style model for our people where you can anybody in Deloitte can put in hey, I'm interested in this cause. They can amplify it through our internal social networks, and if people want to get on board, great. If they don't, well, obviously you didn't sell it well enough. And I think that's the other thing from a social enterprise point of view. Don't blame others for not wanting to get on board. Own it yourself. If people don't want to get on board, why not? It's not their fault. It's yours. You own it. Have I communicated? Have I explained? Have I been able to demonstrate some momentum or some impact? People back momentum, not spreadsheets and PowerPoints.